Ever wondered what happens when humanity finally stands up to the galaxy's most dangerous forces? Or how an unassuming species can turn the tables on powerful alien empires? Prepare yourself for mind-bending tales and shocking revelations, as we dive into stories of epic battles, hidden truths, and the fascinating beings that inhabit the stars. But that's not all. This isn't just about aliens and UFOs. We'll also uncover secret histories, the unknown technologies of the universe, and the high-stakes confrontations that could alter the fate of entire galaxies. The universe is full of secrets, and we're here to unravel them one story at a time. Welcome to Galactic Conundrums, the ultimate place where the mysteries of the universe collide with the most fascinating stories of UFOs, aliens, and science fiction. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, you're about to embark on a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about the cosmos. Before we jump into today's mind-blowing tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss out on all the amazing content we have in store. Drop a comment below to tell us what you think, or if you have a theory of your own, you might just find your thoughts featured in our next video. Now, let's get into today's story. You won't believe what's coming next. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council stood in complete disarray. The towering walls shimmered with the reflective glow of distant stars, and the air was thick with tension, a palpable unease that seemed to stretch time itself. Beneath the dome of this magnificent hall, the representatives from hundreds of civilizations sat, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of frantic debate. Lyron Starflare, the ambassador of the Luminary Confederation, leaned back in his chair, his form flickering with subtle, ethereal pulses of light. His eyes, glowing faintly, reflected the chaos unfolding before him. He had seen many things in his life, but never this: a galaxy teetering on the brink of an unprecedented disaster. All because of one human. One singular act had sent shockwaves through the entire galaxy, and now, the question loomed large in the air: how would humanity respond? The council floor erupted into a storm of voices, each representative frantic to speak. Horrified whispers echoed through the chamber as the news of the death spread like wildfire. Captain Ilra Stone, a respected human scientist and beloved hero, had been killed by the Crimson Nebula pirates. Her death, at the hands of intergalactic criminals, was not just a tragedy, it was a breach of an unspoken rule that had existed for eons: never harm a human. Not because they were weak, but because they were unknown. And that unknown, the uncertainty of their power, was enough to keep even the most advanced species at bay. A small voice squeaked from the Silicon Consciousness representative, flickering nervously in holographic form. It was an accident, surely. We didn't know they were. No, snapped Trill Stardancer, the bioluminescent tentacle representative of the Celestial Accord, his voice carrying an edge of urgency that cut through the tension. We warned you all. We warned you about the humans, their technological marvels and their unpredictable nature. Did you not listen to the warning beacons that we installed across every trade route? His body rippled, his bioluminescence flashing brighter with each word. Did we not make it clear enough? Lyron watched, silent, his gaze fixed on the unfolding scene. He had warned them all. For years, he had tried to tell them, tried to make them understand the danger of underestimating humanity. But now, as the chamber erupted into frantic speculation, the truth was dawning on them, too late. The Crimson Nebula pirates, ruthless and merciless, had been bold in their actions. They had thought of humans as primitive, no more than a blip in the galactic scale, an insignificant species struggling to keep up with the true powerhouses of the galaxy. But now, they had made the fatal mistake. They had killed one of their own, a human diplomat and protector, a mother, a healer. The entire chamber held its breath, waiting for the next words. The silence was suffocating. Lyron Starflare finally spoke, his voice calm yet carrying the weight of centuries of knowledge. "You still don't understand, do you?" he began, his words drifting through the chamber like a shadow. "You don't see the full picture. These humans, this species has been perfecting the art of warfare long before they left their planet. They were not just a race of scientists and explorers. No. They have a history, a dark history, shaped by conflict, shaped by survival. They learned long ago what happens when you push them too far. They've been building, refining their military strategies for generations, hidden beneath the surface of their peaceful pursuits." The words were met with stunned silence, and for the first time, the representatives of the Galactic Council began to sense the looming threat that they had ignored for so long. The arrogance of their assumptions. How could such a primitive species, with their simple technology, pose any real danger? The Crimson Nebula pirates, in their arrogance, had misjudged humanity. They had seen them as weak, as mere pawns in the galaxy's great game. But now, the consequences of that mistake were beginning to unfold. The question was no longer how to respond to the death of Captain Ilristone. No, the question now was how to survive the consequences of angering Earth. As the council squabbled, Lyron couldn't help but watch in grim satisfaction. This chaos, this panic, it was only the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson in humility, and it would come at a price. The humans, when pushed to their limits, would not back down. And they were coming for retribution. A strange stillness hung over the galaxy as the news of Captain Ilristone's death spread. It wasn't just a desolation of space that seemed to grow, but a deeper, almost unnatural silence, a silence that reached far beyond the void of the stars. Across the galaxy, human colonies, once bustling with activity and trade, suddenly fell eerily quiet. The usual hum of communication channels, the steady pulse of information flowing from Earth's vibrant colonies was gone. Space stations, once alive with the chatter of intergalactic trade and diplomatic exchange, stood motionless. The lights on their docking bays flickered and dimmed. Ships that would normally travel along established trade routes sat idle in orbit, frozen in time. No cargo ships departed, no passengers arrived. It was as if the heartbeat of humanity had suddenly ceased. At the heart of the galaxy's network of commerce, the main trade routes, those once thriving arteries of galactic commerce, shut down without a single warning. the routes crisscrossing through the great expanse, connecting distant worlds and fostering an intricate web of commerce, were silenced. Starships that had once crossed these paths now lay still. The usually chaotic hum of shipping lanes had been replaced with an unsettling, deathly quiet. In the quiet aftermath, a single message pierced the darkness, a stark, cold transmission from Earth. The hologram flickered to life, displaying the simple yet ominous text, "Diplomatic relations temporarily suspended pending proportional response." A cold shiver seemed to ripple across the galaxy as this one message spread like wildfire, reaching all the corners of the known universe. It wasn't just a statement. It wasn't a negotiation. No, it was a promise, a chilling announcement that Earth was preparing for something far beyond what any of the galaxy's great civilizations had ever anticipated. Lyran Starflare, who had seen many races and civilizations react to crises, knew exactly what this silence meant. As he stared into the holographic council room, he spoke in a low, almost somber tone, his voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. "This is not fear," Lyran said, his voice echoing softly against the chamber's walls. "It is preparation." His words cut through the tension that hung thick in the room. "What you are witnessing is the calm before a storm. The human colonies are not retreating. No, they are preparing. They are gathering their strength in silence, waiting for the right moment to strike." The council's representatives exchanged confused glances. What was meant to be an act of diplomatic protest was now transforming into something much more terrifying. "You see," Lyran continued, "humans have mastered the art of patience. They understand the value of restraint. But make no mistake, when they do respond, it will be with precision. They have been preparing for such a moment far longer than any of us could ever have guessed." A subtle vibration seemed to emanate from Lyran's crystalline form, his energy pulsing with an unsettling certainty. His words sank into the council members' minds like an uncomfortable truth, one that they were unwilling to face. The silence across the galaxy was not the sign of a weakened species, Lyran explained. It was the calm before the first flash of retribution. It was the pause that would precede an overwhelming force. The humans had their own methods, methods that were not visible, not apparent to the casual observer. Their silence was a warning, one that many had misread in their arrogance. Lyran's voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "In this silence, humans are aligning their forces. They are not afraid. They are waiting for the precise moment to strike back with all the power they can muster." The room fell silent once more, the weight of Lyran's words hanging heavily in the air. The holograms flickered once, then twice, before settling back into the images of blank, calm screens, as the council members realized the depth of the situation. They had expected a simple response, maybe a few ships, perhaps a formal condemnation. But this, their unwavering calm, the eerie stillness in the air, this was something far more dangerous. In the silent chambers of Earth, plans were being set in motion. While the galaxy waited in breathless anticipation, humanity was preparing, but not in the way the galaxy had anticipated. It was not about numbers or firepower alone. Humans had mastered the art of strategy, of tactical precision. They would not be provoked easily, but once they were, their retaliation would be something no one could ignore. And now, the galaxy was starting to realize, they had made a mistake in thinking humanity was weak. In the silence that had enveloped the galaxy, the first ripple of movement came from Earth. The faintest whisper in the void, almost imperceptible to the untrained observer until it was no longer a whisper, but a roar that echoed across the stars. Humanity's military, long considered primitive by galactic standards, had begun to mobilize. At first, it was a subtle shift. Unseen ships, docked in the quiet expanse of Earth's military shipyards, began to stir. Their engines hummed with an ominous growl, vibrations rippling through the space around them as they came to life. Massive warships, sleek and unyielding, broke free from their orbit, rising from Earth's atmosphere like a storm rising from the sea. These ships, silent at first, began to take form in the blackness of space, their hulls reflecting the distant, dying light of distant stars. For those watching from the Galactic Council, it was only a faint signal at first. Minor fluctuations in galactic sensors, seemingly insignificant at first, were the only indication of the quiet, deliberate movements that were taking place. Slowly, these ships began to spread, forming a network of tactical precision like the quiet, subtle gathering of a predator's hunt. But then, the true scope of Earth's military response became apparent. One by one, human warships dropped out of hyperspace, appearing like ghosts from the darkness, their appearance silent but undeniable. The once pristine borders of the Crimson Nebula's pirate territories, long untouched by true military might, now trembled under the presence of Earth's fleet. There was no warning, no sign of a preemptive strike, just the sudden appearance of ships, each one armed with weaponry of a kind that had never been seen in the galaxy before. Their sleek, angular designs were unlike anything the Galactic Council had seen. Weapons systems that hummed with deadly promise, glowing beneath the surface of their hulls, suddenly flared to life, releasing pulses of energy so precise and overwhelming that the surrounding space trembled. The Crimson Nebula pirates, once so confident in their dominance, found themselves utterly unprepared. In a matter of moments, the pirate bases began to crumble, their shields failing under the first wave of Earth's firepower. What should have been a skirmish, a simple robbery in the vastness of space, turned into a massacre. The Galactic Council watched, transfixed, as the attacks were carried out with pinpoint accuracy. It was not brute force or overwhelming numbers. No, it was a surgical strike, each movement designed with terrifying precision. Pirate bases disintegrated in seconds, as Earth's warships darted in and out of their defenses like shadows, almost impossible to track. The once feared pirate fleets that had held sway in their sector now seemed no more than insects being crushed beneath the weight of a coming storm. But what truly stunned the galaxy was the speed and efficiency of the attacks. The human fleet did not linger. They struck, they dismantled, and they disappeared into the vastness of space before the pirates could even react. It was like watching a predator strike swift, clean, and with a terrifying finality. Then came the message. As if the chaos of the attack was not enough, the entire galaxy was forced to listen. General Aiden Cross, a figure cloaked in the polished black of Earth's military uniform, appeared on every major communication feed across the galaxy. His presence was broadcast simultaneously across multiple channels, his image appearing in every major government facility, towering and composed, yet emanating a presence so commanding it sent a ripple of unease through the council. His voice cut through the static, cold, and unflinching. "We are the Earth Defense Force," he said, his tone flat, as though this was simply another routine military briefing. "We have officially begun our campaign to respond to the illegal acts of piracy against our citizens. The Crimson Nebula pirates will be neutralized swiftly and decisively. To any who wish to interfere, we advise you to stay clear of our designated combat zones." The message was clear. Earth had made its stand. Across the galaxy, a cold silence fell once more, the weight of General Cross's words settling heavily on every listener. The council members shifted uncomfortably, sensing a shift in the galactic balance of power. This was no longer a simple diplomatic dispute or a minor conflict between pirates and humans. No. This was something far more dangerous, a calculated military response from a species whose capabilities had been underestimated for too long. Lyron Starflare, standing on the periphery of the council, could hardly suppress his astonishment. "It's happening," he whispered under his breath, his eyes narrowing as the hollow feat of General Cross played out before him. He had known this moment would come, but even he had misjudged the scope of humanity's hidden capabilities. "They've been preparing for this moment for far longer than we realized," Lyron murmured, his crystalline form flickering with a mix of respect and unease. "We thought they were just explorers. Just scientists. But we were wrong. What we're seeing now, is not just a military. It's a force of nature." As the warships continued their assault, dismantling pirate outposts with devastating precision, the galaxy was left to wonder, how far would Earth go in this campaign? And more importantly, how had they kept such capabilities hidden for so long? The first strike was swift, a flash of movement in the darkness that echoed with unimaginable force. The Crimson Nebula pirates, once so confident in their dominance over their sector, found themselves caught in a web of silent fury. No warning. No time to react. Human warships, sleek and unyielding, emerged from the shadows of space like ghosts, their hulls glimmering with a barely perceptible shimmer of light, barely detectable to any sensor. Earth had already begun to unleash its vengeance with a silence that seemed unnatural, like the calm before an unspeakable storm. The stealth technology on these ships rendered them nearly invisible to any enemy radar. The pirates, so accustomed to easy victories, never saw them coming. One by one, the pirate bases that once dotted the Crimson Nebula sector began to fall. In mere moments, the towering station's fortresses of plunder and lawlessness were reduced to nothing more than smoldering wreckage. The hum of the pirates' engines, their boasting about their strength, faded into nothing. Silent explosions erupted in space, a choreographed symphony of destruction, but they were precise, calculated. Each strike landed with surgical accuracy, as if Earth's warships were guided by a force greater than mere strategy. The pirates, for all their strength, had no chance. The human warships did not bombard indiscriminately. They cut through defenses, targeting only the vital components of the bases, leaving the surrounding civilian areas untouched. It was a demonstration of humanity's mastery of tactical warfare, the kind of precision that felt like something from the deepest legends. Energy blasts lit the dark expanse of space, striking with the force of 1,000 suns, yet no innocent life was harmed. The pirates' ships and stations simply vanished in clouds of ionized debris, their defenses failing in the blink of an eye. The devastation was overwhelming, but it was controlled in eerie efficiency that left no room for error, no trace of mercy. The council members, who had been so certain that humanity was a species of explorers and researchers, now saw something entirely different. The human warships continued their methodical destruction, their weapons glowing with deadly promise, yet there was no unnecessary aggression. Every strike was precise, every attack aimed at crippling the pirates without leaving a scar on the surrounding galaxy. Lyran Starflare watched, his crystal form flickering with astonishment as the hollow feed of the strikes played out before him. The pirates had been reduced to nothing, utterly obliterated. But even more unsettling was how perfectly controlled the assault was. It was not chaos, it was a display of military perfection. "This is no accident," Lyran murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "Humans, they have learned the art of war in ways we cannot fathom." His words lingered, heavy with the weight of realization. "We believe them to be peaceful, to be a species that relied on cooperation, diplomacy, and trade. But they have been preparing for this moment, preparing for a time when force would be necessary." As Lyran spoke, the feed shifted, showing the aftermath of the strikes. The pirate bases, now reduced to smoldering ruins, sent shudders of disbelief through the council members. For the first time, they were forced to reckon with a terrible truth: humanity, the species they had dismissed as primitive, was no longer to be underestimated. "The precision of their strikes," Lyran continued, "is not accidental. This is strategic warfare. Humans have been quietly refining their military capabilities for centuries, hidden in plain sight. They've mastered the balance of power, the art of surgical strikes, where force is only used when necessary, and only with a clear purpose." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. They had expected an escalation of the pirate attacks, maybe a retaliatory strike, but nothing of this scale, nothing this calculated. The quiet, the silence that had surrounded Earth's build-up, had been a warning. A warning that they had all misread. In that moment, Lyran realized that the galaxy was no longer the same. The dynamics of power had shifted, and Earth had just shown the universe exactly what it was capable of. And they had done it with a grace that left no room for retaliation. The pirates were gone. And in their place was a message for all who dared to challenge humanity: the art of war had a new master. As the darkness of space trembled with the echoes of destruction, Earth's warships expanded their reach, moving from one pirate base to the next with the chilling precision of a predator. General Aiden Cross did not relent. With each calculated movement, he led Earth's forces through the heart of the Crimson Nebula, dismantling the pirates' strongholds, leaving nothing behind but ruins and silence. The sheer speed of the attacks was nothing short of unnerving. Holographic displays in the Galactic Council chamber flickered, showing scenes of the rapid strikes, each one unfolding like a meticulous choreographed dance. Ships that had once threatened to overwhelm human defenses were now reduced to hollow wrecks in mere minutes. There was no time to retaliate. The pirates had no chance to regroup. They barely even had time to process the human warship's stealth entry before the attacks began. Human warships glided effortlessly through the vast emptiness of space, cloaked in stealth technology so advanced that even the most sophisticated scanners couldn't detect them. The strikes were swift, so precise that not a single pirate ship had the opportunity to escape. Explosions flared to life with a brief, dazzling light, then vanished just as quickly, leaving only the echo of their demise. In the wake of the destruction, not a shred of debris remained. The precision of humanity's military power was becoming increasingly apparent. The camera feeds displayed one scene after another of human warships striking with eerily silent efficiency, disarming the pirate bases with pinpoint strikes on critical systems. Every strike was measured, targeted with a purpose, destroying the enemy's ability to fight without causing unnecessary harm to anything else. The pirates, confident in their fortresses, never realized just how vulnerable they were until it was too late. "This," General Cross's voice rang through the feed, "is how we operate." His words were simple, but they were backed by the devastating power of humanity's military machine. As the last pirate stronghold fell, his command was clear: the pirates had been eliminated. Back in the Galactic Council, the atmosphere had shifted. The once smug leaders of the various galactic species sat in stunned silence, their faces reflecting the grave realization that humanity had been playing a different game all along. The smug dismissal of humanity's abilities had now been replaced with an unsettling respect, or perhaps fear. Lyran Starflare stood before the council, his crystalline form flickering in the dim light. His voice carried a weight no one had expected from a species that had once been so fascinated by human technology and diplomacy. "You still don't understand," he began, his voice calm yet filled with a quiet gravity. "Humanity has kept this power hidden until now." He paused, as if allowing the magnitude of his words to sink in. They didn't reveal their military capabilities because they saw no reason to. For centuries, they've built their strength not on displays of force, but in preparation. Stealth, speed, precision, these were their tools, and they have honed them silently. The pirates didn't provoke them, not truly. But you, all of you, you underestimated them. And now, you see the result. The council members shifted uncomfortably, their expressions shifting from disbelief to unease. Lyran's words hung in the air like a heavy fog, dense and suffocating. They had thought humanity was merely a young species, still finding their place in the galactic community. Now, they were learning that humanity had outgrown that perception long ago. They did not simply strike, Lyron continued, his tone dropping. They calculated. Every attack was a deliberate response, precise, efficient, and destructive. They didn't just defeat the pirates, they wiped them from existence, leaving no trace, no chance to recover. They are not the naive species we thought them to be. He paused again, watching the faces of his fellow council members as their expressions darkened with understanding. What the galaxy has failed to grasp, Lyron whispered, is the true nature of humanity. They have the power, the knowledge, the will to eradicate anyone who dares to challenge them. Not because they want to know. They do it because they can. And when they unleash that power, it is absolute. The footage of Earth's military actions continued to play, showing how quickly the human warships struck, their movements calculated, their methods beyond anything the galaxy had anticipated. In the span of mere hours, the pirates had been decimated. Every military engagement was executed with an elegance that bordered on art, a tragic realization for the Council, who now understood that Earth's ability to wage war was far beyond their imagination. The once feared Crimson Nebula pirates, the scourge of space, infamous for their raids and lawlessness, were now nothing. Their territories had crumbled under the relentless precision of Earth's warships, their leaders silenced, their fleet reduced to scattered debris in the void of space. The last remaining pirate ships, now desperate, tried to flee, but they were trapped. There was no escape. Human warships, like silent reapers, moved through the wreckage of the pirate strongholds. With unerring accuracy, they systematically disabled the pirates' final bastions, turning once thriving pirate bases into lifeless ruins. Earth's strikes had been so precise that not a single pirate was left with the capacity to fight back. The remaining ships were hunted down like prey, their engines failing as they were struck in the most vulnerable points, leaving them floating dead in space. The pirates' arrogance had led to their downfall. They thought they could outwit humanity, believing the humans were a primitive species, weak and unprepared. But as the last pirate ship fell, it became painfully clear that humanity had been playing a different game all along. What had begun as an invasion by pirates, fueled by their own overconfidence, had ended in their complete annihilation. Lyron Starflare watched the final reports pour in, the footage of pirates' ships being torn apart with startling efficiency. There was no glory in this victory, only a cold, meticulous end. The pirates had been reduced to nothing, their once feared fleet vanquished in minutes, leaving only the unsettling silence of space behind. In the Galactic Council, the air was thick with disbelief. The last echoes of the pirates' destruction had not yet faded when the realization settled into the hearts of the Council members. Earth, the species they had once dismissed as weak, had just redefined the very nature of power in the galaxy. Lyron stood before them, his crystalline form pulsing with an aura of unshakable truth. He had warned them, but even he had not fully grasped the extent of humanity's resolve. As the council members exchanged glances, some filled with fear, others with reluctant admiration. Lyran spoke again. "The lesson humanity has taught us," Lyran began, his voice quiet but carrying the weight of a truth that no one could deny, "is that they are not simply a species emerging on the galactic stage. No, they have proven themselves to be a force, a military power capable of shifting the balance of this galaxy." His words hung in the air as the footage of Earth's strikes played out in the background, those precise, almost artistic attacks that had brought the pirates to their knees. The final silence of their annihilation was deafening. "The pirates were foolish," Lyran continued. "They misjudged humanity, as we all did. But humanity has shown us that when they choose to fight, they can win, and they do so in ways we never expected. They are researchers, explorers, and diplomats, yes. But when they are pushed, when their survival is threatened, they become something else entirely. They become warriors. Unstoppable warriors." A chill spread through the council. The realization was settling in. Humanity's true strength had been hidden beneath their unassuming exterior. They had outwitted every other species, not just by strength but by strategy, by sheer will. Humanity had always known their own potential. It was the galaxy that had failed to see it. And now, Lyran concluded, his voice growing firmer, the Galactic Council must face the consequences of its complacency. Humanity's military capabilities are beyond what we imagined. We have underestimated them for far too long. And in doing so, we've made a grave mistake. A hum ran through the chamber as the Galactic Council realized the truth of his words. Slowly, the mood began to shift from one of fear to respect. The technological classification of Earth was under immediate review. It was clear that humanity's role in the galaxy had changed forever. Lyran looked around the room, his expression almost somber. "We, who have always believed ourselves the true powers of the galaxy, have learned today that power is not always measured by the size of one's fleet or the might of one's armies. It is measured by resolve, by the willingness to protect what is yours, and by the quiet certainty that you can win, no matter the odds." The Council's decision was swift. Earth's technological classification would be upgraded, not just for its scientific achievements, but now for its military dominance as well. They were no longer a species to be underestimated. Humanity had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would have to adapt to this new reality. As the meeting concluded, Lyran stood silently, reflecting on the past few days. Humanity had not only crushed an enemy, they had rewritten the very rules of engagement in the galaxy. They had shown the universe a truth: you do not mess with a species that has mastered both the arts of peace and war. And now, the galaxy would never be the same. As the dust settles and the echoes of humanity's unstoppable rise reverberate through the galaxy, one question remains: what happens next? The Crimson Nebula pirates are no more, but the galaxy now knows a truth that will shape its future. Humanity is no longer a species to be underestimated. They've shown the universe what happens when they are pushed to their limits. And now, their full potential has been revealed. But what other secrets do they hold? What other unimaginable capabilities are hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be unleashed? As the galaxy stands on the precipice of this new reality, one thing is certain: the balance of power has shifted. The question is, who will stand in humanity's way next? We've only just scratched the surface of the mysteries that surround us. What's lurking out there beyond the stars? And how will humanity's role in the galaxy evolve from here? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay on top of the latest revelations. Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments below. What do you think is coming next for Earth? Your insight might just spark the next big mystery. Until next time, keep looking up. The universe is full of surprises, and we're just getting started.